A couple of comments. I did a little bit of research in the last 24 hours about emergency ordinances, particularly emergency zoning ordinances. And the only instance that I could find in the last 15 years or so when the county has adopted an emergency zoning ordinance was in regards to ordinances adopted in 2008 in response to the rulings of the Growth Management Hearing Board, in which the county adopted emergency ordinances, although it was a month after the hearing board decision. You adopted emergency ordinances to stop people from making applications that were best under zoning regulations that had just been declared invalid by the hearings board. I did not find any other instance in which you had adopted emergency ordinance. The only other time I could find interim controls in the last 10 years was in regard to cell towers, when you adopted ordinances in 2000 as a result of 4 applications for cell towers when interim controls were adopted, and even those controls were not adopted as an emergency. So I guess the question I have here is, looking at the memo from the planning department, I do not see anything in that memorandum which suggests why there is in fact a necessity for an emergency declaration, because you have to take what amounts to an extremely extraordinary way of enacting an ordinance. It is not something that you do very often, and it is not something you do lightly, and it is not something that you should do either very often, or you should do very lightly. You really need to have a reason, a significant, substantive reason to adopt an emergency ordinance, because you are completely subverting the public process in regard to how you get to zoning regulations. You just plain wipe it out. You wipe it out as you are doing in this instance in response to a simple memorandum from the planning department. No public input whatsoever, no public hearing. Boom, you've taken a zoning action and you have eliminated the public process. It comes after the fact, not before the fact. I would want very specifically, if I were sitting in your shoes, to know what the emergency is. Is it more than just the one application of my client? Are there numerous applications? Is it truly an emergency? Is it just this one application that's going to go forward? Is that such a terrible thing that you need to exercise this extraordinary power? That's the question I would want to ask you, and I would ask you to consider whether to use that extraordinary power in this instance, in that fashion. I would also note that there is an ordinance currently going through the planning commission regulating bed and breakfast. There was a public hearing on it from the planning commission on July 6th. The planning commission is going to take it up again on the 20th. If this is a significant enough issue that there needs to be regulation, this ordinance would directly address my client's application. Why can't it go back to that process? Why can't it go through the normal process? Why can't it be done with the necessary public input? Why is it being short-circuited? I would urge you to be very careful and to ask for a lot of specific reasons why this is going on. This memorandum that you received, the ordinance that was drafted, do not seem to have significant rationale for the adoption of an emergency ordinance. Thank you very much.
Anybody else wish to make a comment?
I'll give you a reason why we should adopt this ordinance. I live in a rural area for more than 35 years, and I cannot imagine on a 2-acre parcel building this kind of structure. This is a monster. And we need to take the time out that the directors asked for and get the public and the planning commission involved with this. Anything over 10,000 square feet, if that's the largest structure you have now, this isn't even close to the high, let alone the norm. So let's adopt this ordinance and take a short time out. Take this around. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to make a comment on agenda items?
Thank you. Item 1A is approval of adoption for the week of July 11th. Item 1B is approval of payroll Item 1C is approval of workers' compensation expenditures for the month of June, and item 1D is approval of minutes for the week of July 11th.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, reports and presentations, the well-dressed Commissioner Rosales.
Yeah.
I've reported a couple of times about the Olympic Workforce Development Council and the new workforce development strategy called the Industry Sector Partnership Strategy. For those of you who are hearing this for the first time, this is a tri-county, the tri-county workforce development organization, Jefferson, Clallam, and Kitsap counties. And the first sector that we've collectively determined to focus on for this strategy is construction and building trades. Each county has identified 2 industry CEOs to serve as champions and conveners for an industry CEO roundtable. From our county, that's going to be Kevin Holt, who's currently the president of the North Peninsula Builders Association, and Kelly Fox, who is the president and CEO of Lumber Traders, Hartnagel, et cetera. So I'm very confident with the industry leadership that our county has identified, and look forward to the next steps in that process. That's all I've got today.
Next Wednesday, there's going to be a meeting, a special meeting of the Board of Financial Resources. And what's important to us is this will be the first meeting where they begin to show volumes associated with each of 5 options for the rollout. In addition, I have asked that information is detailed by county, so that we're able to look at it and answer the question, what happens to Clallam County if you select this option, that option, that option? And the intent is to allow the junior taxing districts to weigh in on the issue. It's anticipated to be a fairly busy meeting, and I do note that if you are thinking about stopping by the Senate hearing room B on Capitol campus is where it's going to be. We should remove it to DNR. We're anticipating a big size crowd. And then I plan to speak to PAB the day before and provide some information about what's, by that time, this information will be posted on that. So as much as possible, trying to keep people here locally.
Appreciate your time.
I have nothing.